Drew Germanowski.
Here.
President Alan Johnson.
Here.
Laura Ray.
Here.
Cindy Otis.
Here.
Tom Baroshi here. Jennifer Helton.
Here.
Caitlin. Absent. Glenn Kay. Absent. Nicholas Lynn. Absent. Kathy Pitchell McGovern.
Here.
All good.
Thank you.
All right. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. There's no executive session. There's no property updates. No new business. Developer items. Steel Club Phase 3, major submission 700 Linden Avenue. All right. There's big maps over here, and Mr. Spurk is here to answer any questions you may have.
Should I come up to the table?
Yeah.
I mean, I could.
Yeah, you have to speak into a microphone, so why don't you come up to the table? Because you need to speak into the microphone for the record.
Well, I brought a bigger plan, much easier to see than the 8.5 by 11 by 17s or 8.5 by 11. Oh, you got 8.5 by 11.
We appreciate that.
So, do you mind if I just go right into it?
No. Why don't you explain it, and then if people have questions, they can ask questions.
So, if you don't mind, I go into a quick history of Steel Club and how it got to we're going to build townhouses here.
First of all, you're the developer, right?
I own Steel Club, yes.
So
Yeah.
you're the developer. Because in here it says a developer is Steel Land LLC.
Well,
So
yeah.
that's your company.
yeah. So you create LLCs for all kinds of things. Yeah.
But you're the owner, is that what you said?
I own, I'm the majority owner. I own like 75%.
Of the steel club? Or
Of the
whole
club, the
property,
development,
everything?
everything.
Okay.
All of it, yeah. And I've been doing this developing since 1987. I started my company in 1985, the construction company. I actually own now 3 different companies, but I digress. So okay. This was Silver Creek. This was Bethlehem Steel Club at one time. Started in the 40s by the Bethlehem Steel. It's 280 acres. And Silver Creek bought it from Bethlehem Steel in 1986, and then in 2018 they sold it to me. They were in financial trouble. They were looking at a lot of different developers, basically to cover the entire 280 acres with houses. Toll Brothers, Tasmanian, things like that, and they came to me and said, "Think you interested in buying it?" And I said yes, but I'm not interested in covering it with houses. So we came up with an idea, and actually Sandra Yerger was on the council at that time and cajoled me to come up with a different way to preserve most of the property. And so we took the capacity, it's in what's known as the R40, and you guys understand the zoning, that's why you're here. So that meant 40,000 square feet or an acre per lot. And you subtract the water courses, riparian buffers, steep slopes, things like that, heavily wooded areas. And it came out to, we thought, about 184 houses that we could cover this with. At that time, Boucher and James was the planning engineer for the township. They said 159, so 159 it was. So we made an amendment to the R40 zone, and again, this was council was in on the idea. It's for a golf course use. It's the only golf course in the township. We then were able to cluster that 159 on 3 different spots. So these are the 3 spots, and they look pretty much exactly in the way we presented in 2014. So there's really nothing any different. Was anybody on this committee in 2014?
Yeah, I was going to ask if this were the same plan that we saw.
It's virtually identical. There might be a couple of little, houses moved around a little bit or that kind of thing, but it's pretty much identical to what.
And this is the 9 acres, the 9-hole golf course originally, correct? The 18-hole golf course is still intact, correct?
All of it's intact. None.
Even those two,
These-
even the 9 holes. Okay,
these-
this is a different.
It's not gonna really affect, this is one hole. Originally, we were gonna put it down here on the tennis courts, right in here. But nobody liked that plan so much. Hellertown Borough didn't like the plan so much. So we decided to put it on top of the mountain here. This is the highest part of the entire property. I mean, this may be a little higher over here, but certainly here by the clubhouse is the highest part. This is Apple Street right here. It gets a little higher up here, but it's too steep to put a lot of homes anyway. We might be able to put some homes right across the top. So the bottom line is, we moved it to here, so it's further away from the rest of the houses and that kind of thing. It wasn't so, I guess, objectionable to others. And it's more contained on the property. So we have 280 acres, 220 is in Lower Saucon Township, and then this is the Hellertown line right here. Runs like this. That's Hellertown. So all that, these houses right here are in Hellertown. All this is in Hellertown. So the 220 acres is where we got our capacity from. And again, it hasn't really changed from when you saw it in, I think, I'm going to say 2016, maybe 15. We got approval in 2016. Actually, it might have been 2015, but somewhere in that area, we got approval for the zoning amendment, which allowed this then what's going by right. So we now have right to do this. What we're going for now is just land development approval. We're showing the topography, we're showing the where the stormwater goes, that kind of thing. We've already got comments from the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. We're waiting on some comments from Hanover Engineering. We should be getting that soon. We don't anticipate there's going to be much by way of comments because, again, we've already gone through this stuff over the course of years. So the common question I get is, why did I wait so long to do this? We wanted to make the club a more viable place to be, so that it would be more attractive for buyers of the townhouses. So
Where's the
the clubhouse is right here. Right, so that's the pool right there. Just so you get your bearings here, the Hellertown pool is here. This is.
Show her where Lost Cave is, maybe that's a big.
Yeah, Lost Cave is.
You know that
Right. Yeah, it's actually right about here.
Okay. There was, Drew, I don't know if you heard yesterday, yesterday was the beginning of a new law. It went into effect yesterday about stormwater in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so we meaning citizens here of Lower Saucon Township, have adopted the new ordinances. So we knew that they were going to be in place. And that kind of thing. The new rules are actually better. They allow more. It's called best management practices. So, for instance, when this came in front of you maybe a year ago.
Yeah, I was on the planning commission.
Oh, you were on the
prior,
planning.
yeah.
She saw when she was on planning, right?
Okay, so the old ordinance doesn't necessarily allow rain gardens, infiltration. The old ordinance just pretty much allowed big bowls, right, retention ponds, which for instance, when Mountain View was built, Mountain View is this area right here, there was no stormwater. All they were doing was putting in stormwater pipes and sending it to the closest creek or river or whatever. In fact, we have 11 pipes that come onto our property from Mountain View. So all of Mountain View drains onto our property. There's no stormwater, there's no management. Yeah.
Directly in the soil?
Directly in, 11 pipes. the one that comes down to Constitution, everything flows to Constitution pretty much. And now we have some that come, you know, in on the course from all over, but the majority goes to Constitution. It's a 3-foot pipe, and in the worst storms, the water shoots out of there like a fire hose.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But 3 foot,
And that's all in the Silver Creek, that's on the Hilltown property.
yes,
And that's a huge incline.
yeah.
So can I ask a question? I don't know if that's gonna, you're gonna be able to pick this up, Carol? I don't know.
Fine, I'm a job already.
Cindy?
Okay, thank you. I'll try to be loud. So what's the total acreage of open space right now, say that, you know, in the golf course?
So-
And how much will be consumed, however you want to put it?
So
How
we-
much is it now, how much will be after, or how much will be lost,
Yeah.
either way?
We have 280 acres total.
Right.
We are consuming about somewhere between 30 and 33 units. It depends on what you would consider consumed. You know, if we
Develop, what building?
Well, on
Roads.
pervious surfaces, it's less than 30, okay? You know, but we're altering some things, we're building ponds, we're building infiltration, that sort of thing. That will eventually be grass-like, but it's part of the development. As you can see, this is the campus right here, where you would come and have dinner and that kind of thing. It's a very small part of the entire property. But by the ordinance, we must keep somewhere around 110 or something like that acres forever, in perpetuity, as open space. So that was the idea, you know, instead of, again, covering the whole thing in houses. And at that time, in the early 2000s, and 2005 and 6, golf was suffering. And when I bought it, there were only 183 golf members total, and there were 20 dining members. And now we have 7,000 dining members, and somewhere in $500, that's $500 golf. So we brought it back. We invested heavily into the club to make it a viable place and quite frankly, a desirable place. And so now we're ready with things that you know, it's desirable, people will want to live there, that kind of thing, and now we're set to break ground on one that you guys have already approved from a land development perspective.
Has this been through, again, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Mhm.
Has this, what has Hellertown seen, and what has been their feedback? Have
Yeah.
you had that?
So we were just at their planning commission. It's all informal at this time because there's not much in their their municipality. What we plan to do, and you know, I'm assuming that just about everybody has visit either Silver Creek or Bethlehem Steel Club or now Steel Club. You have to come down Linden Street, which is right here, and you sort of wend your way through the neighborhood. And what we're proposing is to bring the driveway here to Constitution and Durham and make a 4-way intersection. And they like that idea, they prefer that idea.
The neighbors probably like that.
Yeah, everybody's
No
gonna-
traffic doesn't go through the neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be better for everybody, even us.
Yeah.
The downside, from my perspective, it's gonna cost probably $250,000 or something to put a road in like that, so. But again, it's just, it's better for the community, you know, instead of going through the neighborhood and that kind of thing.
Nice meandering entrance.
It does, it's gonna look better. And when you come to the club now, it's sort of, you're in the parking
Yeah.
lot, you see the side of the club, and that, now you sort of get glimpses of the clubhouse in the front.
So when you talked about the zoning changes way back, so this was when we put in our cluster ordinance, is that correct?
No, I don't know that we have a cluster
I
ordinance.
thought we did
I didn't know this is still
cluster
active.
development, so that R40, you don't have to have a neighbor per house, you can bunch them together like that, no?
There was no cluster development at that time. The only thing that, and if that has changed since then, pardon me, I'm not aware of it. But we didn't have a cluster development at that time. We made an amendment to the golf course use. That was what everybody wanted to see because they didn't want the entire R40 affected. So I don't know, that's a good
Yeah,
question.
I thought, because we've talked about that a number of times, do you remember, Alan?
I remember we talked about it, but I don't know if it was ever like
They know.
implemented.
I don't, I'm gonna say no.
Same here. I've never heard of that in planning. I've been on planning for 6 years now.
Yeah.
A year for 10. I've never heard of us having a bus ordinance.
There
Ask
are,
Lenny.
yeah,
Ask Lenny.
there are some municipalities that have it, but not that many.
Well, I like this, I like that, 110 acres are conserved, and more than that with this, because
Like,
you've seen a lot of, we were fortunate enough to have money in the open space to buy the Woodland golf
Yeah,
course
right.
and turn that into open space.
Mhm.
But you saw it where, I don't know, there used to be this, what was the name of that golf course? Locust,
Locust Valley.
Locust Valley.
Mhm.
They basically closed and turned the whole thing into house. There's going to be housing all over it. They got rid of all the open space that was a golf course and the open space around it, and are building,
Yeah.
homes. So, that was a kind of a different thing, but I'm glad. This is pretty much the only golf course left in the township. There's no, part of the Way Hill course at Saucon is in Long
Right.
Island Township, but a very
That's
small
right.
part of it. This is the only full golf course left in the township, so I'm glad it's being preserved for our residents.
By the way, just so you understand, we're putting in a walkway all along the perimeter here, so it can be used by the golfers if they so, choose to hit the ball that far offline. We're putting a sidewalk here for the residents, so you can sort of walk around it now. The residents can't walk through it, nor should anybody, even the members, because you risk being hit with a golf ball. But the idea is then to take it all away. We don't show it on our plans that we have submitted, this sidewalk going all the way to the intersection here with, actually, the here at East Durham East Depot and Durham. But that's the idea, so that these residents can walk into town as well. Now, the residents will all have carts and cart garages, so they'll be able to drive right to the clubhouse. This development will probably keep a lot more cars off the road. Although it's not age restricted, we've had 280 inquiries on the first 37, and none of them have children at home. They're all either empty nesters, still working, or retirees.
And your school district appreciates that.
Yeah.
Because it's school tax dollars without having to educate a child, and that's the best kind of tax dollars if you're on a school board.
And now the average cost is somewhere, the average sale price, we'll say, of the houses is in the $600, $700, $800, $1,000 range.
And you mentioned that that there's going to be 110 acres. So first of all, I'll say my big concern would be, developing this real estate, basically, putting an end to the golf course, developing this real estate.
Right.
It's going to severely impact groundwater recharge and so forth. So maintaining the open space is a clear positive here. But you mentioned 110 acres would be in the conservation easement in perpetuity, because the question that I'm getting at is, imagine, for whatever reason, golf falls out of favor.
Yeah.
You lose your golf members. Then this is part of the arrangement here, the agreement would be that there would still be 110 acres in essence in a conservation easement, or then is this open to you or someone else coming back and putting 5 more cul-de-sacs in and
There's no more
developing this?
capacity. The council or the citizens of Lower Saucon Township would have to change and allow the R40 to have more. It could be then an R20, for example, or an R, whatever, what's the smaller than R20?
I've never heard any small R20, but maybe
Yeah.
that is. I've never.
So there would have to be a zoning change, and that would be a municipality, township-wide.
Yeah, we've seen zoning changes.
Where's the conservation easement that you're talking about? Where the land that you've conserved?
It's 110 acres of the open space here. It's
Oh, so
not
that-
necessarily, yeah.
You're considering the golf course to be open space?
Oh, yeah. Green space.
Green space.
Right.
Well, environmentally speaking, I learned from Drew and from listening to groundwater business that, lawn is not the best thing to absorb rainwater.
Right.
But this has been here for a long time, so you're really not changing anything much, right?
80 years.
The second point is, I got a pretty good look at the maps on the computer, and it looks to me like you're really not destroying a lot of trees when you build this. Is that
No.
right? Do you know what the acreage of trees that you're going to be hurting or destroying, removing?
I don't know if it's even an acre. There's no really heavy woodlands in any, this is in the middle of the hole over here. This is all
There's a-
open now.
There's marks on the drawing that encircle the woodland.
It's up here. You're in the wrong spot. Yeah. See, that's the woodland line right there.
Okay,
It's that way.
yeah, right.
It's all this white space here.
So compared to all of this, you're really not
No.
removing that much woodland.
No.
So I think that's good.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
here's another thing. The stream. Silver Creek goes through here.
Right.
And since I drive by here a lot, and since I'm also interested in streams, I've noticed that the banks of this stream are straight up and down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of erosion going on there.
Yeah, tremendous.
So I was thinking, since there probably won't be a lot of golfing going on during construction,
Oh, no.
this would be a good time to...
No, there's gonna be golfing going on.
This would be a good time to improve the banks of the stream.
If there's no golfing going on, I'm in big trouble.
But
No,
anyway,
so let me
that's
stop
my
you there,
point.
Alan, for a second. So Hellertown has asked us to help them with flood mitigation. And we're talking to them, we actually have some plans to create some ponds along the problem with the steep banks is the water rushes through
I
instead
know,
of
but there's
spreading
a
out.
fix for that. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what we're doing.
What you do is you taper the banks of the stream.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. We already have the plan.
Plant grass there, some kind of grass that grows in there and the water can't wash away.
We already got the plan, yeah.
Well, where is it? Let's see it. I mean, that's an environmental thing.
Yeah.
Is it on there?
No, it's not, so we adjust, Hellertown has
Anyway,
approached us.
one more thing I wanted to say.
Okay.
When you do things like this, there's often funding available
Right.
from
Federal, state. yeah.
county and the state.
Mhm.
So you may not have to pay for all the expenses of fixing up those banks.
That's the plan, is to not pay anything, because again, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create ponds with the bridges. The bridges are gonna be weirs. Weir is,
Thing that stops the water and lets it set.
yeah, it lets the regular amount go through, and then as it rises, it stops, and then the water spreads out. But it can't spread out. It's 9 feet deep down here. That's how much it erodes. That's where the 3-foot pipe is coming from.
Well, that's Hellertown. Hey,
Yeah, but I mean, this is
You're
gonna help
gonna
out.
work with them to do what you want to do down there, I mean, with them.
Well, no, we're gonna treat the whole stream,
I can't see, you're gonna put ponds in along the stream's length,
yes.
but they don't like when you, restrict the flow of a stream.
No, we're not gonna restrict the normal flow of the stream.
Well, it'd be good to see the plans.
Yeah. One day it will be in front of this group, in front of the town, just, it's not done yet, that's all. And again, the motivation there is to mitigate the flooding in Hellertown.
It helps them with some
Because
around this.
right, it's just flying through, because the banks are so straight, the water isn't allowed to
That's where you gotta mix
come
them
up.
up.
yeah.
And that'll cut down on the erosion, which will help the end.
But think about this, Alan, the only way to have the water go out is to stop it.
I don't know, when you have normal flow, the water's in here, when you get rain, goes out on the
That's
on
not-
the sloped banks.
That's not what has happened here in 80 years, though.
Yeah, but you always have straight banks.
No. When I was a kid, it was, you could just walk right, right through there. It has eroded.
Well, maybe you didn't have the right grasses planted there.
It went down,
Right.
it went down 4 feet in sandy, in the sandy swamp.
Well, that's the other thing, you gotta have the grasses
4 feet.
planted there that
I said that,
hold the dirt.
I met the manager there and the head of public works. I said, our creek went down 4 feet. He said, I know, it's on Front Street. They had to use their backhoes to clean it up.
Yeah, I know, it was
About
bad.
2 years ago, too,
Yeah.
that happened.
We lost one bridge. It undermined the footing. It went down about 6 feet. Not since I've owned it. Sandy was actually right before I bought it, but I was involved at that time because I had an equitable interest in the place.
Do you have to conform with either Lower Saucon or Heller Town's MS4 programs?
Oh,
So that plan's already in place for both of them, isn't it?
yeah. You're talking about,
With respect to how it affects your property?
how the new development affects the property?
No, do the MS4 plans affect what you're doing, or were you grandfathered in that process?
You're talking about the stream bed? Or
No,
the-
the mitigation of the water and surface drainage and impervious soil, all that.
Yes, so the golf course has virtually no impervious. It's all pervious.
Right.
Although again, woods is better, and Alan's right,
Yeah.
And then a meadow is next better, and that kind of thing. Grass, tightly mowed grass, and, that kind of thing, doesn't accept the water as readily, but still pretty good. We don't have a lot of runoff, straight sheet flow runoff, like certainly the parking lot we have.
Right.
Because it undulates a lot. So it's not like your front lawn is just flat and straight. You have a lot of undulations. So what we are planning, and I'm getting the cart before the horse here, but because we don't have things worked out really much at all. We're just starting the ideas of how we're going to mitigate the flooding. Really what we want to do is we have to hold all the water coming from Mountain View and some of this water coming from upstream off of the sort of the Wassergasse area and that kind of thing. It comes down there like a bullet train and it goes through the course very quickly. So we have to somehow hold it and allow it then to recharge and dissipate, that kind of thing. That's the plan.
Did you mention, I thought I overheard you say, or heard you say earlier, that you were going to put some infiltration?
Yeah, I never did, I didn't finish that. So the plan here for this development, and we also are, when we got this approved, we also had a couple of buildings and turf field approved. And so the turf field, under the turf field, so the football field basically, is all infiltration. So it's infiltrator pipe, stone, that kind of thing. And then next after that is more common retention pond. It's a big open hole. It's not very deep, it's not very big, it's actually going to be in the view of the patio and that kind of thing. And then after that is the rain garden. So the idea is to try to not just have a giant pond, that's mowed constantly. That's what you were referring to earlier. The ordinances are now trying to move away from that and some better, more creative things to do. And quite frankly, better for recharge, better for the water table and that kind of thing.
Down there, you're gonna have a so-called garden, rain garden, right? It takes the
Yeah, we have
runoff
two.
from here.
That one is right. There's two there. It's both. We have the regular retention pond and the rain garden.
You have a retention, you have an infiltration pond here, plus the rain garden?
Retention pond plus the rain garden.
I think someplace on here you have an infiltration pond where you have pipes underneath.
That is, well, you're right, that's the point, and this is why, when we introduced that, we have the same thing, that big pond that was mentioned earlier to that gentleman there, it does have pipe under it, so but it's mostly just a retention pond, but it does have some infiltration. The turf field has a tremendous amount of infiltration under it though. And the ordinances didn't allow it. When we proposed these things, but under the ordinance before it was adopted, the new one was adopted, it actually didn't allow it. They are not keeping up at the time. Sometimes that's the way government works sometimes. And so now the ordinance now better reflects the more creative ways to handle stormwater. And so the ordinance actually helps us, quite frankly, because now the plan reviewers are just looking at it and going, yeah, that works. This is what they're proposing, it works. Where we are actually proposing an alternate plan. So, look, I'm sorry for taking up everybody's time here.
Can I ask
Yes.
one more question?
Yeah.
Microphone.
So along the Panther Way then, so there's a bit of a tree line there, does that stay, or it's not very big lots, but?
Yeah, our proposal is to sort of clean it up and sort of just brush. It's not all that attractive, and then plant trees. So yes, but ironically.
And there aren't trees though. There's
Some of them are more in
In-
what would be the,
where the houses are.
yeah, where the house
Right.
would go. So we're gonna put the tree line pretty much, near the property line. But ironically, the.
So that's where all the deer hang, I'm sure you know that.
Oh, we have about 400, yeah. They're mostly in here, on the mountainside, in the woods. In the evening, they graze everywhere, all over the golf course. It's actually kind of neat,
Do these people that live along Reservoir Road have wells?
Yes, so our water's coming from Howard County, yeah, it's coming this way. We're bringing the water in, and I don't have that, it's on one of those plans, but it's coming off of this one here, right up from this street. And then we're gonna bring it across the golf course and then into the house there. And then the water ends here at Willow, so we're gonna extend that.
I was wondering if this retention pond down here
Right.
might affect the people's wells here.
You're talking, even though this looks small, you're going, well, it's only that far.
Is this where it's gonna be?
Right, yeah, right below it there.
Is that what, according to the drawing, I thought I saw there was pipes at the bottom?
There are pipes in the bottom, you're right.
Kind of like a septic system.
Well, that's infiltration, yeah, that's exactly right. They operate by the same principle.
And that's better than just than just a pond, just a basin.
No question, it's a better way to do it, but again, the ordinances didn't allow for that. There was an exception in the old ordinance. Now, in the new ordinance, it's a recommendation. So where we have proposed a retention pond with a bit of infiltration under it, and then rain garden, and on all three.
And the rain garden from here goes into the Silver Creek. This
Well-
pipe goes into the Silver Creek,
Theoretically, there would be no discharge.
but it shows it on the drawing.
Yeah,
I don't know about where that goes.
it would come down the slope same way. It has to then cross an awful lot of acreage to get to the Silver Creek.
Oh, you're saying it'll be absorbed as
Yeah,
it's going down?
Exactly right.
That'll make it pretty soggy for the golfers, I guess.
That's tough. They gotta miss those soggy spots.
Where's the boots and cleats?
Head to the dry spot.
Yeah, head into the dry spot.
All right. Well,
So this would be normally where we would recommend stuff, but it seems like most of the questions get answered.
Yeah, I mean, we would raise concerns if we had them, and, personally, I think we're maintaining some open space, maintaining infiltration as much as possible in the situation. I think it's better to cluster these buildings where they are, rather than to develop, to subdivide this whole space into a dispersed housing development.
I mean, ultimately, I probably would have done better just covering the place in houses, quite frankly. But I live here, this is my home, and, you know, I think this is the right thing to do. If we're successful, you know, and the club is successful, then, you know, it's a benefit to me for sure, and to the town. And if we can then help the flooding and do something, and Alan's really right on target, you know, that's the right thing to do too.
It's a good project.
So I mean, I agree, because you see golf courses all over the country turning to 500 townhomes.
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
All the time.
And if we can avoid that.
Yeah. You know, families, they have golf courses for generations, just like farmers, and then there's pressure, there's money dangling in front of them.
Are you gonna build the houses?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I have a construction company.
So you have
38
control,
years.
you have control over what the houses will be like?
Yeah, we've already designed, you know, the first 37. All these are all different. It's not, you know, where you have 5 to pick from and they're all cookie cutters. We have 37 distinct designs for the first
It
37.
looks to me like they're gonna be really crowded together, but
Yeah.
when you, I mean,
Well, if you would go
have
to,
like a architect help design it so that
well, we have our own in-house
Have enough.
architects.
space.
Yeah, some of our, one of them's 4,500 square feet.
How about the garbage?
Well, they go on
The
the,
garbage dump.
they go at the end of the driveway by the curb, just like the rest of us.
All right. My only thing would be like, maybe we just recommend that, you know, if, once you talk to Hellertown and you get the Silver Creek banks, you know, you just file another plan with EAC just so we can see that.
For sure, we have to
And,
submit another plan.
Right.
And if you share that with the Saucon Creek Watershed Association, and what's the other one called, Jennifer, the Lehigh Valley, what?
Oh,
Watershed Association.
Watershed Coalition of Lehigh Valley.
So
They might be able to help you get some money.
there's
They
no
know how to do
question,
those things.
we would need everybody's support. We need everybody's support here, you know, to get that money. We're talking millions and millions of dollars to make this happen. Again, to the benefit, quite frankly, of everybody downstream. So I would need help, and I need everybody's support, and, you know, to do it. It's the right thing to do, though, for sure. If we don't do something, it took 80 years to make it that way, but it's geometric. It's being, you know, dug deeper and deeper, quicker and quicker, because there's nowhere for the water to go. It's not going out.
I think, you know, once we see those plans, you know, EAC and council can write a letter to the appropriate bodies to try and get some funding. Once we see the plans. All right, thank you for coming in, thanks for your time.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for explaining everything. And we missed her, I knew she wasn't coming tonight because she would have to abstain anyway from any type of.
You're gonna get good explanations like this.
No problem.
Thank you very much. All right, is everybody fine with that? Can we move on to the Cinco lot line change? All right, there's a big map for this. Put it in the middle there. Cinco.
Can you look at this from the satellites? This looks like an area where there's a lot of junk or something positive, but I guess it's not nothing. Otherwise, there's nothing there. There's hardly any trees, there's no water.
So this is the proposed change here.
Yeah.
So we usually get no idea why, what's next.
Where is this?
It's out by, it's along, Baptist Church Road, and it goes south of there, about
Bangor. Yeah, Bangor, okay. Okay.
There's I forgot to mention, there's the
I know you're right.
donuts and cookies for Valentine's Day up here, if anybody wants donut and cookie. Thank, courtesy of. Thanks.
This is where it's on, it's right. Develop.
I'm not sure.
So we-
Where's it on?
Yeah, I didn't hard to tell from the satellite view that I saw, but it looked like a bunch of unidentifiable stuff. I think it's not definitely not in the cross. Bringing out cross there.
Yeah,
It looks like that.
Right there.
Yeah, this might have been a barn.
But is this all now, this is all in decay, right? This is all abandoned as it were.
Well, I don't know if it's brand, but the rest of it's okay. It's just this area, I don't know.
What does that say, girl?
It says proposed lot 4, so it's still 3 and 4 by the looks of it here.
And do we know why, like, do we know any
I don't
details?
think there was any.
There's the application in there, but it's not much detail.
Doesn't say anything really.
The application's in the packet.
Well, if that's 4, what's this?
Yeah, I think usually, yeah, a lot of times when we get the lot line, we don't really have the reason or what the next step
Yeah.
is.
That's lot 4, proposed, lot 4 of what?
Yeah,
Or
right here.
that's- yeah.
The one thing it says here, statement of intent.
Okay.
It is the intent of the applicant to adjust the lot line between the existing lots of record as shown, so we see that. No physical features are proposed by this plan with the exception of proposed survey monumentation, okay, that's normal. All existing features and improvements will remain. Uses of said properties will remain single-family residential. The future ultimate right-of-way of Halfler Road is to be dedicated to Lower Saucon Township in the form of a right-of-way easement. So it really doesn't.
Lot 3 and lot 4, what about 1 and 2? I guess they were, that was done a long time ago, probably.
Yeah, must be.
They're already separate. There's, they weren't, there's nobody here.
Yeah. There's a couple farms back there.
They said they weren't coming.
Construction.
No one from Cinco,
Yeah.
no one representing the Cinco family's coming.
In and of itself, there's no real
Yeah,
evidence.
yeah.
They're not changing not at the moment, of course, requesting anything other than single homes in either case.
Can we postpone until the person
Here's
can,
that. That was Church Road.
yeah, Spring Valley Road, yeah? Oh, it's right between those two.
What was that road?
There's a big barn in here.
Oh,
Spring Valley Road and that was Church Road.
so they don't identify the road, they just show the
Yeah,
force.
Well, I mean, there's nothing to postpone. I think you either comment on it or you know, make a recommendations or don't. I'm not sure there's nothing to vote on.
I mean, there's nothing in terms of a change in land use associated with moving this lot.
Not at this point.
Right.
It's a simple property line adjustment.
No comment or do we have comments?
Yeah, I don't see.
I don't have a comment.
Yeah,
I don't have anything else.
I don't either. So unless they're going to come forward with some other plan that's problematic, that's a problem for another day. But this just seems like a simple lot line to the ultimate intention of which we don't know.
I think it'll come, yeah, I think if whatever happens, it'll come back to us. So, if there's any- All right, so we're gonna have, there's no comment on that, all right? All right. All right. Now, reimbursement of the 2022 e-cycling event. Carol, you said we received a direct deposit, $1,700 from Northampton County for reimbursement for the fall 2022 e-recycling event on February 2nd, 2023. So we got $1,700 and reimbursement for that. Okay, old miscellaneous business, electronic recycling event for April 22nd, 2023, shared with Upper Saucon Township. I'm going to pass this around. It's kind of a sample of this. But basically, shared recycling event on April 22nd, 2023 with Upper Saucon Township. Patrick Leonard of Upper Saucon Township said he would take care of every aspect and will not require assistance from EAC or our staff. They will set up and man it. They will email the flyer with both municipalities adding and split the cost. We will do the same when we have a fall recycling event. So we'll staff that one, and we will not require any assistance from Upper Saucon Township for fall.
And share the expense.
And share the expenses, right. It'll be a joint Upper Saucon, Lower Saucon recycling event.
Looks like there's two in the fall, 10, 14, and 11.
I think we have to
We
pick.
saved those dates.
These are the days, we have to pick one of these
Yeah.
days.
I didn't know, last year, I guess for the fall one, you picked 11/11, which actually falls on Veterans Day, so I didn't know if anybody had an issue with that. So I secured both dates, and you can pick what one.
Is Veterans Day is Saturday, 11/11 Saturday?
I would recommend that we take the October date anyway.
Yeah.
The only reason we took the November date in the past, with the past one, was because it was all that was left.
You never know what type of weather you're gonna get in November. You're a little bit better in October
You
with weather.
better make sure it's not during the spirit parade, though.
10/14, yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
Well,
it's in there
It's usually on
somewhere.
a Sunday, isn't it? This is a Saturday. October 14th is a Saturday, right?
Correct.
Spirit Parade is usually Sunday. It could be the next day, you're right.
Spirit Parade, I believe, is on the 22nd.
Okay.
Okay, next week.
All right.
Okay.
Does someone want to make a motion to set the date at October 14th of 2023?
I'll make that motion.
All right, so anybody want to second that?
Second.
Seconded by Laura. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Carol, can we set that for October 14th of 2023? All right.
We're obviously advertising both of them now, right?
Yeah.
We will.
Yes.
They'll take care of their flyer and they'll forward it to me and I'll post it and then we'll take care of the next flyer and then we'll post it on Constant Contact, Facebook, our newsletter.
Is this the company that we just used, or
No,
this is a different
this
one?
is with Clean Earth, both of them.
Because I noticed they don't have paint on their thing, and that was where.
And
we
they're
had a
not
pro-
doing
we
paint,
had a
that company
problem.
is not doing paint
Yeah,
anymore.
okay, good.
So, hopefully we can get these dates in the spring newsletter.
Yes, now that, yeah, I have.
We certainly can get the October one in, but hopefully we can get the April 22nd.
Isn't April 22nd Earth Day too? Kind of nice, we got.
And I think that's why they picked that day.
Yeah.
I say that.
I know. Me too.
All right. We have educational ideas for residents, MS4, rain gardens, rain barrels. Anything else? You're full of ideas, Alan, what's wrong?
Some things I have ideas about, some things I don't.
All right.
So I would like to entertain working with Saucon Creek Watershed as part of the rain barrel. There was education in the past. There are rain barrels that we already have that we could work towards that and build that mutual relationship back up.
All right.
And I think we had some, I thought we had some educational, either flyers or literature that we maybe shared the township newsletter previously, that if we could ask, I don't know, Carol, if you could look through the archives there, as it were, and see if we have something that we can look at again, maybe at the next meeting, and to see if it's still appropriate.
For rain barrels, you mean?
Yeah, for just, and sort of MS4, rain gardens. I thought we had the educational, we put together with, oh God. It's on the tip of my tongue. One of our past members who moved.
I
She was-
remember, East Massachusetts.
Sarah.
Yeah, I couldn't think of
It's
Sarah's
a beautiful
first name.
diagram.
So I think we had produced something once upon a time that might, you know, these are
Suitable to do
timeless, these are
again.
semi-timeless ideas.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would just say we look at it just to make sure there's nothing that doesn't match the new MS4 guidelines, which I doubt that anything does. But then that's something that's ready-made,
Right.
and I think was well conceived in the first place.
So Jen, do you want to reach out, or do you want someone at the township to reach out?
Yeah, no, I can
Okay,
reach out.
all right. You want to reach out and report at the next meeting?
Yeah.
And it will be like a workshop to build them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there was also discussion even, it doesn't pertain to this, but ladder flies, you know, where you can build kind of those traps to catch them. So there's some discussion with that. I'll bring back what you say.
Great. All right.
I have an idea, it's not regarding water though, it's educational. So long ago, we did composting workshops where we had the big green earth,
Big black bins.
whatever they're called, yeah, the
Yeah.
big machine.
Earth machines.
Yeah, and I think that would be a great thing to bring back and do again, because, I mean, it's been forever, and
Sure.
that is one way to reduce what goes into the garbage.
And compost workshops never get old. And just when I think nobody has any interest in them, you know, municipalities put them on, and they have huge turnout. There's also a company called, I can't remember the name, but they have a program where they'll set it up right on your website. So if you're going to have a workshop, you can sign up to purchase one of these machines. They usually give you a good discount, and then they actually bring them to the event. So
Right, well,
it's-
that's how we did it, like, the
Mhm.
residents could take it home with them after the workshop.
What was that?
Composting.
The
Composting.
compost, the big black things. It was Deb Ross did it, so
Right,
that's how long
right.
ago it was, I don't know how long Deb's
2002.
been
It was
on here.
2002.
2002?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been here a while.
So,
I remember 2002.
you want, what organizations do this? What type of organizations do this? Are you contacting
Well,
them? You want-
Deb
want
did it.
Carol?
I mean, she ran the
Oh,
workshop,
Carol looked
I don't
into
know
it?
if there's
I
a
think
master
we
gardener.
got a
person.
grant for the bins themselves at
Yeah.
that time, and then Deb actually ran the class. And then residents signed up, and then they left with a free bin.
Right.
And we have one or two bins left, but they're like cracked or broken now. But, yeah.
So,
Yeah,
what,
so
do you want to do this, or do you want Carol to? I just want to have somebody.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the or
To-
the organization that does it.
Do you want to look up
It might
information
be-
and send it to me, and then I
I
can
can
call?
look, I mean, I'm gonna guess maybe the Master Gardeners program, they might know.
Because if we can get, Carol pointed in the right direction on this, and maybe, do something for the March meeting agenda item.
I did go to one of those things, Laura, but it was held by Penn State.
Yeah, I've been to theirs as
Penn
well,
State,
but it's been a long time for that. I haven't seen it advertised for a long time.
So maybe you could contact Penn State again.
Yeah,
Penn State, what do they call it? Absorber?
Extension.
Extension.
yeah.
All right, so.
Okay.
we get
Yeah, I'll
this-
look at
Or you'll look
Yeah,
into that?
I don't know, I'll
Okay.
find something.
all right. Review and approval of December 13, 2022 meeting minutes.
I have a couple minor things.
Okay.
Page 5 of 12, line 2. Are you there, Carol?
Okay,
Okay.
Page 5.
of 12, yeah, line 2. And I think we should add ing to trying to put, rather than try to put.
Trying to put, okay.
Yeah. And then line 10, they will eventually end up rather than land up in the Bull Run. So kind of minor.
End up.
And then page 7 of 12.
Oh, wait a minute, Drew, I caught another one on that.
Yep.
page. I think it's line 4. It says, not for a benevolent party to score waste. I think you meant store waste.
Store waste, right. Good catch.
And below that, there's something here that says, with whatever condition it is, facilitate our township property with whatever condition it is. See that one there on the, it's on line 6?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. And then the next line it says, it's some of the best conditioned real estate in this heavily used township.
Yeah, so that might say, that might make better sense. Let's go to page 6, that's obvious. It's some of the best, let's see. I think it might be easier, and the intent, this would be changing the intent to say, this real estate is in some of the best condition in this heavily used township. This real estate is in some of the best condition in this heavily used township. That doesn't change the intent, I don't think. And maybe to try to fix page 5, line 5, I'm sorry, we would be agreeing to facilitate our township property with whatever transpires, I think would again convey the intent. There's no objections to that. Alan, do you have others? I have something on page 7.
No, that's the only one I
Oh,
caught.
there's a typo though, on page 6. Sorry, this one. Line 5 for Reddington, it's the 1D. Okay.
And then the simple one on page 7
Yeah.
is in line 4. I would change to, so there's no question about that, as opposed to there's no question to that. It's just grammatically more correct for us.
Say that one more time.
So there in line 4, instead of it reading the sort of middle short phrase question, sentence, there's no question to that, should read, there's no question about that.
About that.
Yeah.
I have 2 on 4, page 4 that I missed. Line 20, it says, landfills do have lifespans, and when they get passed, instead of asked,
Okay.
and then down on 22, says what's going to happen and every landfill there is, I guess that should be with every landfill there is. What's
Yeah, that
going
would
to
be
happen
accurate.
with every landfill there is.
Okay.
All right, anything else for the December minutes?
I have a question about something here. I don't know if we can ask questions at this point in time, but
Sure.
it says, Britt Condrey said she understands that Land, Air, and Water Legal Solutions submitted a zoning ordinance amendment on October 5th, 2022. What was that all about?
Page 9.
Page 6, line 45 and 46.
That's the name of the
An
lawyers,
organization.
I guess, for the landfill, right? Well, their name was on the map.
What line was that again?
45 and 46 on page 6. You say she's a lawyer for the town, for the...
No, Britt
Correct.
is with the DNL, Heritage Corridor.
Oh, that's right, later
The
on. she
Land,
said-
Air, and Water Legal Solutions is like the name of the people that did the map stuff for the landfill? Like their company name or something? So she was asking about that.
Oh.
She was wondering how you get a copy of that.
Yeah, or where, right.
All right.
Whoever incorporated all my million comments did pretty darn good. It was
You're
very
welcome.
hard to write.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage that if people have comments about the minute, and I know the comments before the meeting, they email me, Carol, it'd be helpful for her to have an email, rather than sort of trying to piece together, so you should do that. All right, do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the December EAC meeting?
Make the motion.
I'll
Agree
second.
with all the updates?
Yeah, with all the others.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Um,
All right, and then we have the approval of the meetings from the January 10th, 2023 meeting.
So, I only got to barely read these, but I know there's corrections that I wanted to make.
You want to table it until next
Some of the
meeting?
wrong people are saying the thing, you know what I mean? I think-
And if you don't speak into the microphone, it's
Yeah.
really hard to
All right,
hear.
so is it you or is it Diane?
Diane is doing them,
Yeah.
we go over.
So
them.
she doesn't even know everybody,
But
so
she's,
that's.
but that's why I take notes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's-
Okay.
It's hard to hear,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
But I didn't get to write, I just,
Okay.
when I glanced through and read, it's like, oh, yeah, I don't think that was her.
We don't have to approve it,
Yeah,
tonight. We
I
can
think we
table.
can wait.
You want to table?
It's no biggie.
Yeah, that's
We'll just- and there's a motion to
Then we have
table.
time to
Yeah,
read it.
that's fine.
That's fine. We'll do that in March. All right, what's next? Public comment. Does anybody have public comment? We use the microphone at the podium. That's on.
Yes. State your name.
Thank you.
I have a public comment.
Public comment.
My name is Sal Galliano. I live at 2530 Wolfpack Run, Hellertown. My comment is I use Apple Butter Road daily, go to and from work. And the area from the bottom, I can't remember the road.
Bring on.
No, go further down where the trucks come in and now are supposed to leave.
Shimersville?
Shimersville, that's it.
Shimersville.
Basically, I ride a motorcycle. That road is pitifully dirty. And it's not, I'm not worried about the dirt on the bike, it's the dirt getting into my lungs because the roadway is just dirty. I mean, what do you guys have in effect for cleanliness of the trucks exiting? 'Cause I know they're probably clean when they go in, but that side of the road is clean. It's the exit side that's just mud and dust when it's dry. What do you guys have in way of protection for that or to eliminate that?
The landfill's supposed to wash the trucks on the exit, so I'm a little surprised that the exit's dirtier than the entrance, but they are supposed to be washing the trucks. My understanding, they regularly do that. Last landfill meeting, they gave a number of days where the washer was operational. I forget what that is off the top of my head, but it seemed to be operational most of the time.
Well, I'm just saying, it's just terrible. And it's getting worse and worse with the more trucks coming in. And I realize, weather has something to do with it, but still, if they're washing it, then, it shouldn't look the way it does. After it rains, it's all washed, and where's it going? Into our waterways.
Just a point, the number of trucks does vary, but it's capped by our host municipal inspection agreement, so it shouldn't be a substantially large number of trucks compared to, from a month-to-month basis, and it's generally not.
Right, I understand that, but I'm just saying, it's very dirty all the time.
I think it's a fair point of observation. I drove by there this morning, and the road was dirty on the exit, more so than the other lane, and I made a comment on one other of our meetings that my truck looked like I was off-roading on a rainy day, driving through that stretch. I mean, when I got out of my truck at my destination, I was astonished at the mess it was. So I think you're making a fair point that is an observation that, in my experience, is factual.
As I'm saying, is I have to breathe that dust. I have no way, it's not like I can close my windows going past it on a bike.
Something I think that should be, is it appropriate for the landfill committee this to be referred to the landfill committee?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, this is environmental.
It's a
That's what I'm
comment,
asking
yeah.
you guys. It's an environmental problem. What do you guys have to say about it? And what have you implemented to tell them or recommended to them?
I mean, we could refer to the landfill committee to see what recommendations or solutions that they come up with the landfill. They work with the landfill when they have their quarterly meetings dealing with complaints such as yours.
Okay.
Does the landfill committee do air quality? They
The
do
committee
air
doesn't
quality
do
stuff.
it. The committee doesn't do it. Our engineer goes up there and does this inspection and reports back. He does air quality as far as if he detects odors and that type of
Just
stuff.
odor.
But to my knowledge, there's no
Not sediment
yeah,
or dust or stuff like that.
Well, see, that's what I said. You're an environmental agency here,
We're
a council advisory.
Yeah, we're an advisory board that can make recommendations.
All right, well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm bringing it up here. It's an environmental problem.
We could recommend that the landfill committee address
Particles.
third
etc.
particle
All right,
on
that's what
Apple
I'm saying,
Road.
'cause it's certainly not, it can't be healthy coming out of there.
They can address it with the landfill at their next meeting.
So
I think specifically, we would be suggesting that despite the fact that they're apparently cleaning trucks, it's not thorough enough, it's not
What else could be done?
solving the
Right,
problem.
what else can be done?
All right, because like I said, it's not just, if they're coming out wet and they're just dragging a little bit of mud, this is a lot, and it's going, it's a fair distance down. I'd say a good half a mile at least. That's way too much for just a little bit of residual water.
You took note of this and you were,
Yeah.
and I don't know when the next landfill meeting is, but it's posted on our website.
And where's the engineer? From the landfill committee or is it from,
Well, it's our Hanover engineer,
It's Hanover.
what's his name, Scott Ryan.
from, he's employed by the township?
Township. He's our engineer, correct. Not their engineer.
Correct, okay.
Thank you for your
So
time.
I will say, I recently did have a conversation with Matt Vipon, however you say his name, from DEP about that issue, among other things. And there was a period recently, he said maybe a 2 or so week period where they said their street washer thing was broken. So they weren't cleaning the roads or something or another. I know it's one thing after another, but
I know sometimes
But
weather
I know,
has something to
I've
do with
seen
it too, because
pictures,
they
I've seen people
can't.
posting their
rain and
pictures with
freezing.
what their cars look like after driving down the road, and it's disgusting.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your input.
Yep, please come to the microphone. State your name for the record and where you live.
My name's Ginger Petrie, 2626 Reddington Road. I don't have a lot to say tonight, but what I do have to say, hi Alan, I haven't seen you in a while. When the future is coming and the landfill proposal comes to the next stage, which is changing their conservation easement, I would like to invite all of you, and maybe you would consider doing it, coming out to my property and standing out in the field and have an actual visual of the side of the mountain and where the landfill currently is. And from our property, you can also see where the expansion that they're planning on Phase 5 is going to be coming along the side of the mountain, and it will be meeting into our property. The reason I'm asking you to do this is because when the time came that we wanted to put our property in conservation easement, we had everyone come out there. We had the EAC come out, we had the Planning Commission come out, and we had the council come and visit. And part of the attraction for the township to put our property in this open space was that it was going to be a contiguous properties. The Bethlehem property at that time, the 275 acres that the landfill has purchased, was already in a conservation easement. And the township had a goal to have properties that were going to reach each other. As a matter of fact, Kathy, you might have been contacted at that time about your property so that it was contiguous, coming from Bethlehem through our property, which is at least 100 acres of timber in the side of the mountain, and then it was going to go toward the Pitchells. So the reason I'm asking you to do this is because we were basically vetted in order to have the township want our property, okay? And we don't have an issue because we also had the heritage, we had a third-party agreement when we went into our easement. So I'm not so concerned about it being changed when I'm not alive anymore. But because there's going to be a major change in the conservation easement through the Phase 5, I think it's very important for everyone involved before a decision is made to please stand on the ground. You guys are all into environment, and one of the things about our property was that it had a lot of special things. It had all the animals and it had the plants. Rare plants are on there also. Not only is the bull run at the bottom, but there's a lot of springs that run through the mountainside. So that is the same, it's the same mountain range that the landfill is going to be taking over. Same type of rock cropping, same type of steep slopes. So I feel it's important, instead of just looking at a map, that if you have a visual of what you're really going to see. Now this whole side of the mountain is also seen from Route 33. It's also seen from Route 78. And from what I've been told, on Route 33, you can almost see this mountainside all the way from Wind Gap. So before the changes are made, that will ruin, that you can't take back. Once, this isn't just like clear cutting trees and planting more and hoping they'll grow. This is something that's going to change the soil, the environment, the water, the air. Please take my invitation. Maybe you can discuss it at the next meeting. Take up my invitation on your convenience whenever you could, and please come for a visual. I would respect that a lot if you would do that. Make things a little more palatable. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger.
And happy Valentine's Day.
All right, anyone else? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
We still have your book.
Can we discuss
That's what I wanted to ask you about.
All right. You know what? Let me get your phone number.
old business problem?
All right, come on out here.
So regarding membership and attendance, so going back to the bylaws, and this is for Nicholas Lynn specifically.
I can't hear you. Speaking like.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the membership part in our bylaws regarding attendance of members and filling the position. So it's Article 4, Section 2.
I still can't hear you. There are people talking.
This is how it is.
No.
Now you know.
Okay, close the microphone, maybe I can hear you.
Yeah, that's how it is at council. So regarding attendance of members, it says chairman of his, her own may, or a majority of voting members present at any scheduled advisory council meeting may vote to notify any EAC member or associate who is absent from any 4 consecutive regular monthly EAC meetings or who is absent from 6 regular monthly meetings during any 12-month period without reasonable cause. And then it goes on. So you notify the person, you're asking them to show up or resign, do something. So we've been talking about this for several months now, regarding specifically Nicholas Lynn. So from what I can tell, he came on the board in 2021. He attended January, February, March, and that's the last we saw him. None of us even remember what he looks like. So he was absent in April 2021, and then we had all our meetings canceled from May through October in 2021, but he was absent in November and December. And we didn't see him at all in 2022, and we haven't seen him yet in 2023. So, can we do a vote to send something to him, and we do it ourselves?
Was he what type of
An
member?
associate member.
So that, can he?
Yeah,
vote?
normally people start as associate
He
members.
cannot vote, okay.
No, he can't.
Can we just
But-
put a phone call? Or
Well, it
just
it
say
says
we have
written
to-
notification,
Okay,
so we should email him, or, you know,
Okay.
I don't know if anybody actually types up letters anymore, but I would say email him and say, would you like to resign so we can fill this position with a person that can come? Because we are limited to the number of associate members, and it would be nice to have more people to help when we do projects, so.
I mean, I agree, I think contact him and,
But we've been
See,
talking
I
about it.
I don't even remember what he looks like.
Waiting.
I don't even remember what he looks like.
Well, neither do any of
Um,
us. So,
So-
it's like-
So does that letter, does it say that the written letter has to come from the township, or can the committee write it, or does it matter?
I don't think it really says.
I brought the same issue up in the fall, that we have members who aren't appearing, and because we're a volunteer group, when we need to do something like do road cleanup, help out at a recycling event, whatever,
Quarterback,
I know I'm often limited on weekends and can't participate. So when we have empty seats that are empty continuously, that's one less person that may volunteer to help us with our other, you know, to promulgate our programming.
Does the township have protocol for that?
I think if you would make a motion,
Well,
that staff would-
well, I'll make the motion that we take the action to contact this person, and I don't know if you have a canned thing. I mean, it's not even like it's an attendance issue, that it's spotty attendance. It's-
Absentee.
He dropped off the earth here, or we don't even know if he's alive, you know, who knows?
Carol, does he reply when you send out emails?
He hasn't, he did respond when I reached out to him to see if he wanted to be on the EAC again, so.
Yeah, I think, you know, call and find out his intentions, but,
Yeah,
you know, if he's not going to appear, then, you know, it'd be council's job to remove him.
Yeah, we should have some recourse to that, rather than just ask.
Or you can recommend,
Right, if somebody wants to stay on the committee, he can be doing this just to put it on his resume. I mean, I have no
Right.
idea what his purpose is.
Right.
yeah.
But someone might do that to put it
Well,
on
then-
to suggest they're doing public
So
service.
then EAC makes a recommendation to council that he be removed because he hasn't attended meetings, a certain number of meetings over the past year, and council would consider that, remove him, and then he appoints him.
But can I ask, Carol, you said he did respond when he was asked? At this stage, I would think we've asked, and I would be willing to make a motion that council terminate him from his position.
I'd like one more request, I'm saying, with exactly what you're talking
He
about.
would have been
saying-
asked twice, though. At the end of 2021, he was asked to stay on for 2022, and he
It's
said
a,
yes,
yeah, it's
apparently.
a year, yeah, every
And
year.
then again, at the end of 2022, he was asked.
How many meetings did he attend in 2021?
I think Laura's
I
correct.
see 3.
Okay.
January, when he first came on, January, February, March. That's why we don't remember him.
It's gonna be your house phone or yourself.
Why don't you just send him an email just saying that, you know, basically, you're gonna be removed, the EAC is gonna recommend a removal from council, because you haven't attended the meetings. You know, we assume you don't object to this, because you're not attending the meetings, and see what he said. And then we'll know in March whether he responds or not. But, you know, listen, I'm in a total agreement that, we have to
Laura
recommend
has
the
a-
council.
You have a motion on the
I
floor.
make a motion.
Mhm.
I'll second it.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Al? I guess he's an aye. All right.
So who will send this email?
I will send an email tomorrow, and then I will let him know that if his attendance, if he doesn't show up,
I'll
then
get my, I'll search.
your recommendation is to.
And I really appreciate this having
Okay, now I know your phone.
That's right.
Say it. Awesome.
All right, anything else? Good, Alan?
Yep.
All right, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
No.
More cookies?
I can get them
You
afterwards.
can take some home, yeah. Want to take some home?
I probably will.
All right. All right, then I'll make the motion to adjourn. So Alan can take the cookies home.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Carol.